You are exhausted. It's not an exaggeration. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of faith. It's a sign. And today, I need to tell you something that will completely change how you see rest, spirituality, and your own destiny. On April 6th and 7th, something is happening. And the chosen ones, yes, those who feel they carry a greater purpose, who live with that sensation that there is something beyond what the eyes can see, will feel it in their body, in their soul, in the silence of the early hours. God is ordering you to stay in bed. This is not a metaphor. This is not motivational advice. It is a mandate. And in the next few minutes, I will explain to you exactly why this absolute rest is, perhaps, the most powerful act of faith in your life. Stay with me until the end, because what I will reveal in the second half of this video will completely redefine what you understand about strength, productivity, and divine alignment. And if you've made it this far, it's already a sign that this content was meant for you. Before anything else, let me ask you a direct question. How many times have you woken up in the morning and, even before doing anything, already felt heavy? As if the simple act of opening your eyes cost too much energy. You sleep, but you do not rest. You stop, but your mind does not stop with you. You smile on the outside, but inside exists a weariness that no vitamin, no diet, no gym can resolve. If you nodded your head just now, agreeing, I want you to know, this is not weakness. It's a symptom, and every symptom has a cause, and every cause has a cure. Most people spend years treating symptoms without ever reaching the root. They take medicine to sleep, but do not rest. They seek peace, but do not find silence. They pray, but feel the words hit the ceiling and bounce back. And do you know why? Because there is a spiritual layer that needs to be treated first. The body only truly rests when the spirit finds permission to stop. And that is exactly what the days of April 6th and 7th represent for you. Let's talk about science for a moment, because faith without understanding is blind belief, and you deserve more attention. You need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. More than that, there is a phenomenon called cellular regeneration during deep sleep. When the body enters the deepest phases of sleep, especially REM sleep and slow-wave sleep, it releases growth hormone, repairs damaged tissue, consolidates memories, and eliminates brain toxins through the glymphatic system, which only functions fully when we are asleep. Researchers at the University of Rochester in the United States discovered that during sleep, the brain literally washes itself. Microscopic channels open and cerebrospinal fluid flows much more intensely, removing metabolic waste, including proteins associated with Alzheimer's and other neurological issues. But here comes the detail most people don't know. This process only works completely when the body is in a state of total surrender. When you sleep tense, with a racing mind, with a heart full of worries, the autonomic nervous system remains on alert. And the deep cleansing does not happen. Your body knows this. Nature knows this. And God, who created all of it, knew this before any scientist. Rest is not passivity. It is an active process of restoration that happens behind the scenes while you relinquish control. This is science, and this is also spirituality. And the two, at this point, say exactly the same thing. Now let me tell you about a woman named Martha. Not the Martha from the Bible, but a Martha from Atlanta, 47 years old, 3 children, has worked since she was 16, never stopped. Martha was the type of person who took pride in not resting. "I'm strong," she would say. "I don't have time to stay in bed." She got up at 5 in the morning, slept at midnight, lived on autopilot. On the outside, everything functioning. On the inside, a silent burnout. Until one day her body sent the message her soul had been trying to send for years. She collapsed. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a sudden illness. It was total exhaustion. The doctor called it burnout. She called it a betrayal by her own body. But in bed, during those weeks of forced rest she had so resisted, something happened that she did not expect. She began to hear, not voices, not visions, clarity. A clarity that only arrives when the noise stops. She told me months later, in a message I keep to this day, I had to stop to understand. I was running in the wrong direction with great efficiency. Martha is not an exception. Martha is you. Perhaps she is me. She is the story of millions of people over 35 who learned that resting is weakness and are paying a very high price for it. And here we come to the central point of this video, the point I need you to truly absorb, not just hear. The culture we live in, especially in the West, where the narrative of the hard worker is almost a cultural identity, taught us that a person's value is directly linked to their output. Whoever rests is lazy. Whoever stops is weak. Whoever asks for help doesn't have enough faith. But that is a lie. And it is a very costly lie. In sacred texts from the most diverse spiritual traditions, rest was never treated as an absence of action. It was treated as sacred action. On the 7th day, even the Creator rested. And that was not placed there by accident. It was a teaching, a demonstration. Rest is sacred because it is the moment when you stop trying to control and begin to trust. It is the moment when you say, without words, I don't have to solve everything. There is a greater force taking care of this. And it is exactly this surrender that opens the channel. Think of it this way. Have you ever tried to force a plant to grow faster by pulling its stem? It doesn't work. The plant grows in its own time, in the silence of the soil, in the dark, away from sight. And when it finally breaks through the soil, it is already strong enough to face the light. You are that seed, and these April days are the fertile dark where your next version is being formed. But wait, before I continue, I need to tell you something important, because I know there is a voice in your head right now saying, but I can't stop. I have responsibilities. I have bills. I have people depending on me. That voice is real. I hear it too. And it is not an enemy, it is just afraid. But I will ask you a question that can change your perspective. How long can you take care of others when you are empty? You cannot give what you do not have. An empty cup hydrates no one. And the person who does not rest, who does not allow themselves restoration, who functions at their limit every day, will reach a point where they have nothing left to give. Sacred rest is not selfishness. It is divine strategy. It is you recognizing that to fulfill your purpose, to honor the people you love, to do everything you are called to do, you need to arrive whole. Not half full, not at the limit, whole. And these days, April 6th and 7th, are your opportunity to begin this process of refilling. Now I need to tell you about what happens spiritually during a period of intentional rest. And here, things get deep. So I need you to be present. There are spiritual traditions from completely different cultures that describe the same phenomenon with different words, but the same meaning. When the human being stops trying and begins to trust, something opens. Christian mystics call this inner silence. Buddhists speak of beginner's mind. In the Jewish tradition, there is the concept of Shabbat, a whole day dedicated to rest as an act of faith. In Native American traditions, there are rituals of pause where the medicine person enters a state of receptivity to receive guidance that does not come in the noise of daily life. The common thread in all these traditions is the same. The divine voice does not shout, it whispers, and you can only hear it when you stop making noise. When you are on autopilot, running from one obligation to another, answering messages, fulfilling your schedule, your nervous system is in sympathetic mode, the famous fight or flight. In this state, the body releases cortisol, adrenaline, the senses become focused on surviving, not on perceiving, not on receiving. But when you truly rest, when the nervous system enters the parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and digest mode, something shifts, the frequency changes. And it is in this lower, calmer, more receptive frequency that insights arrive. That clarity appears. That solution you were searching for during months of effort suddenly emerges, simple, clear, obvious. It's not magic. It is physiology allied with spirituality. It is your body finally functioning as it was designed to function. Let's now talk about how to intentionally prepare for these days, because there is a huge difference between staying in bed out of despondency and staying in bed out of faith. The first is surrender to pain. The second is surrender to the divine. And they look the same on the outside, but are completely different on the inside. The key is intention. Before sleeping on the night of April 5th into the 6th, perform a simple but powerful gesture. It can be a prayer, it can be a silent intention, it can be writing on a piece of paper, but declare in some way what you are asking for from this period. It can be healing, it can be clarity, it can be relief from a burden you've carried for a long time. It can be restoration of a relationship, of health, of finances, of your faith that has been wearing thin. Name it. Because what has no name has no direction. Then prepare your environment with care. This is not fussiness, it is respect for the process. Have water nearby, because the body in the process of healing needs hydration. Have light foods available for when you feel hungry, fruits, something simple that doesn't overload the digestive system. Make the room as dark and quiet as possible. If you can, put on some gentle music, nature sounds, or simply silence itself. Deactivate notifications, not as a rule, but as a conscious choice. You are telling the universe, during these hours, I belong only to myself. And this act of disconnection from the external is paradoxically the greatest act of connection with the internal. And when you wake up during these days, don't jump out of bed. Stay there for a moment. There is a state between sleep and wakefulness that neuroscientists call the hypnagogic or hypnopompic state. It is a state where the brain is in alpha and theta waves, which are the same waves present during deep meditation and states of expanded creativity. In this state, insights appear. Solutions reveal themselves. Feelings that were dammed up find an outlet. It is a sacred state that most people waste by jumping from bed to their phone. On April 6th and 7th, honor this state. Stay there, breathe, feel, observe what arises without judgment. It could be an image, a sensation in the body, a word. It could simply be peace. Whatever it is, receive it. You have been chosen for this, not because you are better than anyone, but because you are awake enough to be here, now, listening to this. And that already sets you apart. Now I need to speak to you about something few people have the courage to admit: the fear of stopping. There is an entire generation, especially those over 35, who were raised with the belief that stopping is dangerous. That if you stop, you'll lose your spot, you'll miss your chance, you'll fall behind. That the world won't wait, that you must always run. This belief is understandable. It has historical, social, familial roots. For many of us, the race was necessary for survival. And our parents ran before us and taught us that running was the only way. But you are in a different moment now. And part of your transformation is recognizing that the tools that brought you this far are not necessarily the same ones that will take you to the next level. The next level requires a different skill, the ability to trust, to let go, to rest without guilt, to receive without needing to earn it. This isn't easy, I know, but nothing truly powerful is easy at the beginning, And what happens when you practice this surrender, even for just 2 days, is that you prove to yourself that the world doesn't fall apart, that your responsibilities don't disappear, that you can stop, and when you return, be stronger, clearer, more whole than when you left. And you know what's fascinating? That the greatest transformers of mindset in history, both in the spiritual and scientific fields, spoke about this in different ways, but arrived at the same place. Einstein had his greatest insights, not at the chalkboard, but lying down in a state of relaxation, letting his mind wander. Edison had the habit of taking strategic naps and said that in these pauses came the creativity that effort alone couldn't produce. St. John of the Cross, the 16th century Spanish mystic, wrote about the dark night of the soul, a period of silence and apparent inactivity that precedes the greatest spiritual transformations. Saint Francis of Assisi found God in the silence of nature, far from human noise. The pause is not an absence of purpose, it is the womb of purpose. I want to speak to you now about invisible burdens, because I mentioned this at the beginning and I need to go deeper, because perhaps this is the most important point of all. When we speak of inexplicable fatigue, of a weight that doesn't lift, of exhaustion that doesn't respond to sleep, there is a dimension that conventional medicine is still only beginning to understand: the accumulated emotional weight. Studies from the field of psychosomatics, which unites psychology and medicine, show that unprocessed emotions don't disappear. They settle in the body. Chronic muscle tension, digestive issues, recurring headaches, a compromised immune system. The body holds what the mind couldn't process. And in a culture where suck it up, you have to be strong, you can't show weakness is so prevalent, there exists a silent epidemic of people carrying ungrieved losses, unspoken resentments, unrecognized fears. These invisible burdens drain energy in a way no vitamin can replenish, because it isn't only the body that is tired, it is the soul. And sacred rest, the kind I'm inviting you to practice on the 6th and 7th, is one of the most favorable environments for these burdens to begin to dissolve. Not all at once, not necessarily in a dramatic fashion, but like snow melting in the spring sun, slowly, quietly, but irreversibly. When you lie down with intention, when you take a deep breath and say, "I am surrendering this," something moves. It may come as tears for no apparent reason. It may come as a weight lifting from your chest. It may come as a thought that finally finds resolution. However it comes, allow it. Don't judge what arises. Don't try to control the process. Simply witness. You are being healed from the inside out. And for the skeptics here, because I know some of you watching are hesitant, and I respect that completely, let me bring in one more scientific layer: neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize and create new neural connections, happens more intensely during sleep. It is during deep rest that the brain literally rebuilds neural pathways, strengthens positive connections, and weakens negative ones. This means that a good night's sleep, or even better, an extended period of quality rest, doesn't just restore the body, it literally reprograms the brain. Negative thought patterns you've tried to break for years through sheer conscious effort dissolve more easily when the nervous system is in a state of deep rest. The unconscious processes, reorganizes, and presents solutions that the overloaded conscious mind could never produce. Have you ever woken up one day with the solution to a problem that had been tormenting you for weeks? That wasn't a coincidence. It was your brain working while you rested. Imagine intentionally expanding that process. Imagine consciously creating space for it to happen more deeply and completely. That is what the 6th and 7th represent for you. But here comes a question that must be answered with honesty. What happens if you resist? I'll be direct with you, because you deserve honesty, not empty comfort. If you ignore this call, the world won't end. God won't punish you. Life will go on, but you will miss a window, and windows don't stay open forever. There is a rhythm in the universe, and those who study spirituality know this. There are moments of greater receptivity, periods when conditions are aligned for certain transformations to happen more easily. When you pass by one of these windows without entering, you may still get there another way, but it will require more effort, more time, more pain. The disobedience I refer to isn't religious, it isn't moral, it's personal. It's you saying no to your own restoration. It's you choosing noise over silence, effort over faith, control over surrender. And that has a cost. It isn't divine punishment. It is simply the natural consequence of ignoring what your deepest self is asking for. The fatigue you feel is a signal, and signals that are ignored must speak louder. So what I'm asking of you is simple but not easy. I'm asking you to perform the most radical act a modern adult can do, to stop. Not because you can't go on, but because you choose to. On April 6th and 7th, within your real possibilities, honor rest as sacred. If you cannot stop the entire day, set aside at least a few hours. If you have young children, find a moment while they sleep. If you have unavoidable obligations, fulfill them, but return to rest with intention. What matters isn't the perfection of the process. What matters is the intention behind it. And while you rest, repeat mentally or aloud if you prefer, something simple. I trust, I receive, I surrender. 3 words, one for each dimension. Mind, body, spirit, I trust. For the mind that wants to control everything, I receive. For the body that needs to restore itself, I surrender. For the spirit that wants to reconnect. Before I close, I need to tell you what may happen afterward. Many people who practice this kind of intentional rest report that in the following days, something shifts. Not dramatically, not like flipping a table, but subtly, like when you adjust your vision and suddenly the world becomes sharper. Clarity increases. Decisions that seemed impossible to make become obvious. Relationships that felt heavy become lighter because you are lighter. Opportunities that were there all along begin to be seen. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.